30% of college students let gaming get in the way of their studies. Are you one of them? For the most part, gaming and college go hand in hand. At least when I was there, almost everyone I knew played video games. Try telling the 7 guys that you live with that you've got an addiction to video games. Can you imagine how that went down? Understandably, the amount of pressure I felt to go back to gaming caused me to give up trying. I didn't have anyone to help me through it. I didn't have a guide to tell me what to do, which is why we want to make this video for you, so that people who are in my position, depressed and failing out of university, can get the help that they need to successfully quit gaming in college for good. Now, in this guide, which is a small part of a huge 7,000 word article we're releasing for free on our site, we're going to cover 4 main things. And these are the exact reasons why you get addicted to video games, how to fill the void after you quit playing, how to set goals successfully using the SMART system, and finally how to power off and finally remove video games from your life. But before we go into that, I want to tell you a little bit about my story of how I got into gaming and why it became such a problem for me in college. So I probably started gaming when I was 3 or 4, like a lot of other people. But it wasn't something I did all the time. It was a treat. I did it with the family, maybe once a week. We'd sit down and play some retro games on the Sega Mega Drive or Nintendo 64. It wasn't until online gaming came out when I was 13 or 14 and the rise of popularity of Call of Duty really took over. Everyone was playing it. So when I came home, I'd meet up with my friends, we'd play Call of Duty until dinner time, eat our food, and then go straight back up to our room to play more video games until we went to bed. And then the next day we'd go to school and we'd talk about it even more. It consumed us. It took over the whole school. It's basically like what Fortnite is now. And at its core, it was an addiction. But most people moved on. They grew out of gaming when they got to university and eventually left. But for me, I couldn't let go of it. I got into university to study physics. And once I was out there, it was completely different to school. See, school you can almost breeze through if you just learn the right things, but in college, it's all about you. It's your own responsibility to do well. It's your responsibility to take care of the important things in your life, and you've got no one to tell you what to do. And that's the big difference. People go to university or college with this newfound sense of freedom and they have no idea what to do with it. All of a sudden they've got a huge amount of free time and nothing to do. So they turn to the one thing they know how to escape in, and that's gaming. And gaming became a huge problem for me. I'd neglect my social life, my physical health, my mental health. Everything in my life was sacrificed for gaming. I'd do my work the night before, the morning before at 3 a.m. I was spending my entire night gaming. And it got so bad at one point that I spent 32 hours straight trying to complete Dark Souls. I didn't eat or sleep during this time. And when I finished, I wasn't unhappy with myself. I was proud. I was proud of what I'd done for accomplishing this feat that I'd spent countless hours trying to overcome. And I was happy at the progress I'd made. When in reality, looking back, it was a complete waste of time. Now, I eventually ended up failing out of university through all sorts of personal health reasons. And if you want to see the full story, make sure you check out the article. You can click here or go down to the description below. But make sure you give that a read because I owe my entire life to 2 things, and that is Game Quitters and Ty Lopez. You remember that guy who had that advert? It was like,
here in my garage, just bought this new Lamborghini here. Knowledge.
Yeah, you know the one. But yeah, you can read about how my personal development journey started during university, and it was all because of Ty Lopez and his stupid advert. But that's enough of me. Let's get on to our guide on how to quit gaming in college. Step 1. Understanding the exact reasons why you get addicted to video games. Now this step is crucial if you want to quit gaming in college successfully. You may be thinking it's pretty pointless, why can't you just teach us how to quit gaming and get on with it? But if you don't build that awareness or understanding of the underlying problems that arise when you try to quit gaming, you'll never be successful. You'll just go through this cycle of self-destructive habits over and over again, and you'll never really get anywhere. You'll always go back to square one, and you won't know why. Well, that's the point of the first couple of sections. When you're aware of the problems, you can start going about fixing them in a way that's best for you. How many times have you played video games the entire night, woken up the next day, you got a spur of motivation to vow that it will never happen again? Maybe you take an all-nighter, you start eating healthy, looking after yourself, cleaning up, doing your work, and within a few days you're back to normal. Maybe you thought to yourself you just don't have the discipline, you don't have the willpower, you were never meant to be successful, blah, 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 whatever it is. They're just excuses. What's really happening is that you don't have an awareness of what's actually going on. You don't understand why these things are happening to you, or you don't understand how you can successfully implement real change instead of trying to go gung-ho and do it all at once. And that's what this guide is about. So gaming fulfills 4 distinct needs, and these are a need for constant measurable growth, a need for social connection, a need for a challenge, and a need for escape. Now these are things that you can get in everyday life, but most people get them all through gaming, and that's because gaming is incredibly good at fulfilling every one of these needs. Not only that, but gaming is so accessible now, with almost 2.5 billion people around the planet playing them, that anyone can just pick up and play, get into it easily, and you don't have to worry about any skill gaps or that initial phase where you don't understand anything. Within a few minutes to an hour, you could easily be playing your favorite games. So how do you go about fulfilling these needs in real life? Well, before we get onto that, I want to do a cheeky little step 1.5, whatever, about making things personal. It's just a quick little step just to make sure that you understand the specific reasons why you game, not why everyone else is gaming. You see, we've got those 4 needs that gaming fulfills, but everybody has their own specific reasons as to why they escape in gaming. For example, maybe you've just gone through a bad breakup and you escape into games because you're feeling depressed or unhappy. Maybe you've got personal problems at school or home or at work. You use gaming as an escape. Whatever it is, I want you to take a few minutes just to write down a specific reason or 2 of exactly why you play video games. You can use those examples I've just given you, or maybe you've got some reason of your own. Whatever it is, just write it down quickly, because it's something we want to look at sometime in the future, just to see how far we've come, because people usually underestimate how much progress they can really make. But anyway, let's get on to step 2, which is how to fill the void after you quit gaming. Now, in the Game Critters community, this is probably the step that most people struggle with. We get countless messages of people asking, how do I fill the void after gaming? I'm bored after I quit gaming. What do I do? I've got all this free time. But what exactly is the void? Just imagine for a moment that gaming gets deleted out of your life. Think about how much free time you suddenly got. But what are you going to do with it? If you haven't got the systems in place, you haven't got a sense of direction of where you want to go, you're just going to fill that time with whatever activity you feel like doing at the moment, which is most likely going to be browsing YouTube or Reddit or whatever it is on the internet, just doing meaningless activities to fill your time. You're pretty much just existing in the void. And that's what we want to try and avoid. And that's something that we obviously want to get away from. In order for you to successfully navigate this rough patch after you quit gaming, in our experience, we found that you need 3 activities to successfully fill that void. And these are a mentally engaging activity. For example, it could be coding, programming, or photography. Whatever it is, you need something to challenge yourself and to keep you stimulated. Gaming is so good at stimulating you, or even overstimulating you. You need to find something that can get you into that same flow state where you really lose a sense of time and you can make constant progress and see constant growth on whatever activity it is that you choose. The second one is an activity that you do when you're resting. So if you come in after a long day of work or college, you're so tired, all you want to do is sit on the couch or in your chair, turn on your games and waste the night away. But what can you do other than gaming? Now, this has to be something with low investment of energy, something that you could just do super easily, and which is why I recommend something like reading or podcast or watching documentaries, something that you can just chill with and spend a couple of hours in the evening doing. And finally, the third activity is a social one. If you go from having all of your friends online to suddenly having no friends in real life, you've got no one to talk to. And at our core, human beings are social creatures. We want that connection, no matter how introverted you think you might be. We crave physical connection. So the best thing you can do if you're in college is to look at your local clubs. I'm sure your college has loads of them. If you're in a city, you can look up meetup groups, or somewhere smaller, they've got plenty of things like hiking groups, photography, music, all sorts of things. You can join reading groups, try and tie them in with some of your other hobbies or things you want to get into, maybe cooking classes. And they're a great way of meeting people outside of your current circle. So now I want you to take a few moments, maybe 10 minutes or so, pause the video, get a pen and paper, and just write down 3 to 5 activities in each of those groups. A mentally engaging activity, a social activity, and a resting activity. And once you've come up with a few activities for each one, we can move on to the next step. Just remember that gaming has desensitized you. You're no longer going to find enjoyment in things as easily as you once did. Gaming has overstimulated the sensors inside your brain, so that when you take up things, they're initially going to feel stressful, they're going to be a struggle, you're going to hate them. You just have to persevere, stick with them, and eventually you'll find yourself becoming passionate over the course of a few months. And step 3 is all about goal setting. One of my favorite quotes by William Arthur Ward is, if you can imagine it, you can achieve it. If you can dream it, you can become it. Now, visualization is such an important part of who I am, and it's something that I value greatly. Sometimes I'll imagine myself in my dream house with an incredible life, job that I want, or the business I want, going to places I never thought possible. But visualization is nothing without specific goals. And my preferred method of setting goals is called the SMART system. Now, SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time sensitive. You need to reframe your goals from something like, I'm going to learn guitar, into something like, within 3 months, I will easily be able to play Knocking on Heaven's Door by Bob Dylan. Now, by setting up your goals in this way, it makes them much more likely that you're going to succeed with them and that you'll follow through and accomplish what you want to do. So take a few of those activities you came up with in the last section and create some SMART goals based around them. So if you listed coding as one of your activities, you might set a goal as, I'm going to create a website about sharks within 1 month using HTML and CSS. I don't know, whatever example you choose, try and set some SMART goals around them for the next 3 months. And I keep mentioning that 3 months, 90 days. And 90 days is kind of the ideal time frame you want to aim for when you initially quit gaming. It gives your brain time to readjust. It gives you time to develop new habits and hobbies. And it's not too long, it's not too short, so you don't feel like it's going to drag on for too long. And setting these goals is probably the most important step of all, outside of actually quitting gaming. And once you've written them down, given yourself a sense of direction, you can really hit the ground running and you do eventually quit. And that being said, let's get into the 4th and final section, just powering off and getting rid of your video games. Now, this is a lot scarier than it actually seems, but there are 4 things we're going to cover in this section. And that is uninstalling your games, deleting your accounts, dealing with your consoles, and blocking any gaming related content. Now, the first step is pretty easy. Just go through each of your games one by one, whether it's your computer or your console. And one thing I will say on Steam, don't be tempted to just delete the Steam apps folder, getting rid of all your games, because that doesn't remove some of the smaller trace or temporary files that are left on your computer. And when you're browsing your documents, you could eventually end up seeing one of these, and it could quite easily trigger you into relapsing and playing again, which is something we definitely want to avoid. But the next step, deleting your accounts, that's where people tend to struggle. You see, especially on Steam, people have invested so much time and money amassing hundreds of games that when it comes to deleting them, they really don't want to go ahead with it. And this is called the sunk cost fallacy, and it's something I go into a lot more detail on in the article, so make sure you check that out and give it a read. But it's these cognitive biases which are actually getting in the way of you overcoming gaming addiction once and for all. So the sooner we can stamp that out, the better. What you're going to want to do is delete your Steam account, your third-party accounts like EA and Epic, and for Steam and League of Legends, we've got some great guides on our YouTube channel, again, down in the description below for those links. But for everything else, you can usually just Google X account deletion. So Fortnite account deletion, FIFA account, whatever. You get the idea. Just go through each one by one and really commit to this. This is probably the defining moment in your journey, whether you go through with this or whether you don't. Those that do will likely go on to succeed and create an amazing life. Those who don't have that action to commit to doing this, they're the ones that will stay where they are, who won't level up themselves and won't create their dream life. Which one are you going to be? And with that serious talk out of the way, let's get on to dealing with your consoles. Now, a lot of you probably have consoles that you just use as a media center. I know I do at home for streaming Netflix and TV, but for some of you, consoles are your main platform, or you've got a communal one in a shared living room in university or college. I remember we used to play FIFA all the time in our living room. like 7 of us on a shared Xbox, and it's not ideal. There's not a lot you can do about things in that situation. You just have to try and avoid it and say no when the time comes to play. But for everyone else, what I'd recommend is either locking away your consoles, selling them to make a bit of money back and reinvest in your new hobbies, or giving them to a friend to lock up and keep safe. At least that way, they're not gone entirely, so if you do eventually want to come back to them after the 90 days, you can. It's just getting over that initial period, staying game-free. And it's a great way of ensuring you do that by leaving the responsibility with someone else, as long as it's someone you trust and isn't going to try and force games down your throat. Finally, we get on to blocking gaming content. Now, this is such an important step in making sure you don't accidentally relapse in the future or waste your time spending countless hours watching streams or gaming content on Twitch or YouTube, or just mindlessly browsing sites like Reddit. So that's what we want to avoid. Is you replacing your gaming with something like browsing the internet and looking at memes. The first thing you need to do to accomplish that is uninstall any of these apps from your devices. Anything that's a problem, like Twitch, Reddit, if you have a problem with Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you need to get rid of those. And then you can go about installing a site blocker extension, such as BlockSite, Stay Focused, K9, or Cold Turkey. They all do different things. So many out there for you to try and choose and experiment with. My personal favorite is BlockSite, but it's pretty easy to get around, but I'm quite comfortable now that I'm not going to return to gaming or waste time on Twitch. But once you've got that installed, you're going to put in all the websites that you have a problem with. So for me, it's Reddit, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter and Instagram. You're going to block all of those. You're going to install it on your mobile as well. A lot of them sync between the two. And then you're going to make it as hard as you can to get around this block. And that involves enabling it in incognito mode, blocking the extensions page, doing all sorts of things like that. There's even recommended guides within these extensions that help you along with that. I think Stay Focused has a nuclear option where you have to type in 300 words without making a single mistake, which makes it incredibly hard for you to get back onto the site that you wanted to in the first place. Obviously, there's always ways of getting around these things, but is that really the way you want to go about doing it? If you don't hold yourself to those high standards now, what does that say about yourself in the future when you actually have these urges to play? It's not going to be good, so do whatever you can now to prevent that happening in the future. And one thing I will say is things like YouTube, some people still want to watch them or watch their favorite videos. So what I do in that case is maybe allot a certain time in the day, maybe lunchtime, as long as it's not morning or before bed, I think you're good. And install distraction-free YouTube, which is an extension that will allow you to block the homepage, the suggested videos, the trending tabs, all sorts of things to make YouTube a good experience for you, and one that isn't going to tempt you into going down a rabbit hole of videos or gaming in the future. I'd also recommend deleting your watch and search history as well. We've got a video on that, which I'll put below, and that'll just help clear your recommendations on YouTube. And that's it. You can breathe a sigh of relief. You're done. Well, you're mostly done. You've done the hard part, and now it's up to you. Just take a moment to congratulate yourself on achieving this. You've had the courage to take action where other people won't. And just recognizing your accomplishments is a great habit to introduce into your life to build some self-confidence, self-esteem, which are things that I know a lot of gamers are lacking, myself included initially when I started this journey. So do what you can to recognize your accomplishments, and it's okay to be proud of yourself once in a while. It's not going to kill you. And just to reiterate, what I've said in this video is only half of what's in the article, so make sure you go and read that. There's 7,000 words of amazing advice and covers everything a lot more extensively, as well as how to create routines and stay productive, and goes into more detail about the underlying awareness of the issue. And that article is actually only a tenth of what you'll find in the Respawn program that I've mentioned earlier on. And Respawn is an amazing guide dedicated to gamers. It's helped countless people in our community overcome gaming addiction and lead lives that they never would have thought possible. Not only do you get 75 pages of amazing content, you get video interviews, community support, expert advice, and so much more for such a small price. It's less than half the price of a brand new game. And if you go to gamequitters.com/college, you'll get a 20% discount on these programs before they go up in price in a couple of months. You'll get free upgrades to all the programs in the future, so make sure you invest now and really take those steps towards creating an amazing life, because the people that take action now are the people that are going to reap the rewards later. I just want to say that without you guys, without all your comments, your engagements, your likes, shares, whatever it is you do, even just viewing our videos, it means the world to us. Myself, Cam, everyone else that's involved with Game Critters, it helps us bring the content that we do to you guys every single day. We're super appreciative of it, day in, day out. Now it's over to you. What you do in the next 3 months will define the rest of your life. Are you going to be productive for a week or two and then going back to be the same gamer addict that you were before? Or are you going to take this opportunity to really level yourself up and create an amazing life that you truly deserve? Because it's possible. I was that game-addicted loser a few years ago, and now I'm traveling the world. I'm working on things I'm really passionate about. I'm meeting amazing people. I'm eating great food, and I've got this life that I've worked for and I'm proud for, and it's all because of Game Critters and taking that action to quit gaming in university and really developing myself through hard work and perseverance into the person I am today. So as always, thanks for watching. Make sure you like the video, comment with #commit2quit. Tell us your journey. Are you going to quit gaming in college? What are you going to take up? Any goals or activities you want to try? Let us know. We read and reply to every single comment, and make sure to subscribe so you stay tuned to future updates. And remember, life is worth fighting for. Peace.